Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to see you. It's a pleasure to see my ANS Camp 70 sisters. Wonderful that you're here. And thank you, too, to the organizers of this event, to Central Council President Ed Thomas. We really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you today. Also, before starting, I want to recognize Sergeant Thomas McRae for his valiant service. He was injured seriously in active duty in Afghanistan last week. He is doing better. He's at Bethesda Hospital. Of course, he's had very serious conditions that he's dealing with and his family. But we have gotten word that his spirits are high and that he's making progress, so that we're tremendously thankful for that. Also, before getting going, I want to really talk about the big elephant in the room, and that's declining population. We just went through a census, a redistricting, and our region is losing representation in the legislature. After the 2012 elections, we will lose one senator and one representative. In 10 years' time, I don't want to see us continue to lose population. I want us to stand up as a region and ensure that our electrical intertie energy is built to full capacity and that we bring reasonably priced power to the smaller communities, and that our infrastructure projects, our docks and harbors and our transportation infrastructure is built up to full capacity so that we can encourage and develop economic opportunities in our region that will enable us in 10 years' time to bring our population up and to stay abreast with the growth, the rapid growth in the rest of the state, especially in the Mat-Su, which we're seeing exponential growth in that region. And education is so tied to economic opportunity because we want to make sure that Southeasterners are trained for the opportunities in mining and transportation and marine tech opportunities. The Ketchikan shipyard, for instance, there are lots of opportunities in marine tech associated with that facility. The Skagway ore terminal expansion is happening now, which supports a booming mining industry in the Yukon. We have a number of mining projects throughout the region that will help to drive economic growth. But basic to that is reasonably priced, accessible power. And I know Duff Mitchell has been a leader in this regard, and we need to continue to work to make sure that Southeast Alaska is not left on the side of the road as a big Susitna hydro project is built and some of the major projects around the state are funded. So getting to education, as you've been reading in the papers, there is in the local Juneau School District, great concern over balancing budget. We hear between $3 and $5 million in budget shortfall. I'm happy to report that there are two bills that are moving through the process. In the Senate Education Committee has sponsored a bill that would raise the base student allocation by $125 the first year, $130 the second year, and $135 the third year, for a total of $390 to the base student allocation over 3 years. And then on the House, there's another House bill that inflation-proofs education. So whatever comes out of the process, I'm quite confident that we will see a bill coming out of the legislature that increases the base student allocation for at least 1 year, maybe more, maybe up to 3 years. There's a hearing on the Senate bill in the Senate Education Committee on the 27th, I believe that's Friday, in the Belts Room in the Senate Education Committee at 8 a.m. So if you're interested in providing testimony, that would be a great opportunity to be heard. Then I want to give an update, too, on the Governor's Scholarship Program, which has been tremendously successful. It's in implementation now. The legislature approved the legislative framework for the program. The average scholarship is about $3,500 per student. We're funding it on a per-year basis to date. Last year, and I believe in the current year, we're funding it, I think it was between 12 and 13 million for the full implementation of the program. But the governor has a vision to set aside a $400 million savings account for the program and generate from that from that account revenue to pay for the scholarship so that the program will be self-sustaining over the long term. In the governor's budget, there's also money to help the rural school districts bring their computer systems up to a higher standard and to get better internet access. I understand in Western Alaska that they're in the process of implementing I think it's called a 4G system. We're a 3G system here, so they're going to have a really great opportunity up there to improve their access to online learning in many, many communities. A key goal of mine, and I know Beth and Dennis share this as well, is expanding vocational education opportunities. We worked last year and got funding approved in the base student allocation for vocational education. It actually went into the base, went into the foundation formula. And for Juneau, that equated to about $450,000, which went into the voc ed programs at the high school. I also carried a bill that passed my first year in office that allows tax credits for educational investment. And the Greens Creek Hecla Greens Creek donation of $300,000 is a direct result of that legislation, as well as a lot of other activity around the state. The mining program is doing very well at UAS. We, through the legislature, got a $400,000 capital grant through the process, and that is combined with the Federal Department of Labor grant for a total of $700,000, which enabled us to purchase a state-of-the-art mining simulator. And it is being installed now, and it will mean for Juneau and for Southeast the only underground mining technology of this kind in all of the United States. So it's going to be a tremendous opportunity and a potential economic driver, getting our young people trained in mining. A 6-week program results in almost near employment opportunity, guaranteed employment opportunity at one of the mines. And I can't think of anything in terms of that length of time, 6 weeks, where you graduate and you move into an $80,000 a year job with benefits. I think it's absolutely terrific, and I'm very excited about it. Also, related to education indirectly is the Southeast Energy Plan, because it's a blueprint for energy development, and that, again, is driving economic growth in our region and educational opportunities. And the draft plan was recently released, and the comment period will go until March 19th. The plan will become a blueprint in terms of where energy money will be invested. And so there are many good things about the plan, including conservation and recommended funding for several projects, including Thayer Lake, and the interties between Metlakatla and Ketchikan and Cake and Petersburg. But one thing that concerns us is that the plan doesn't take into account mining loads or big industrial loads, like the potential for the cruise ships to tie in at our docks. And those big mining loads and industrial loads help to justify project investment, help to justify building new projects. So I really encourage you to take a look at the draft plan and provide your comments. And if you'd like to talk to me, I'd be happy to give you some input on some of the things that I'm looking at. But on the AEA, the Alaska Energy Authority website, you can find the executive summary. And I encourage you to read the summary and not the full report. It's about 8 inches thick, so I would go there first. But there's a lot of information to digest, and it's incredibly important for our region because, as I said, it becomes a blueprint for where energy money is going to be invested. I'm carrying 6 bills in the legislature. Most of them are driven by community input, constituent input. I did want to bring to your attention one bill that I'm carrying with Representative Alan Dick, and it's the Alaska Native Language Council, HB 254. The council would make specific recommendations to the governor and to the legislature on funding Native language programs, indigenous language programs with Native speakers. And it's a start. You know, it's not where we want to eventually be, but we have to start, and I think it's a really good bill, HB 254. Comments on the Juneau Access are going to be accepted until February 20th, and meetings on the Taku River Task Force, which many of you may have an interest in. The final meetings will be Monday and Tuesday of this week in room 104 at the Capitol. So that's just a kind of a broad brush of what's happening educationally. I did also want to mention that we approved $5 million for the Sea Alaska Heritage Center in last year's budget. And Dennis went through a long list, but that was a really important one that we all worked on, and we were really happy to get that through. Let's see. And then also, finally, a suicide prevention bill. Senator Betty Davis is carrying a bill in the Senate that would require teachers to have training in looking for the signs of suicide. And I think that's very positive, too. And thank you, Megan, for your wonderful leadership in this area. So I think that's everything, and I'll close, and maybe Dennis and Beth can come back for questions. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer. Thank you.